Kolten Wong is now a Seattle Mariner, and myself included, a lot of people are judging this trade at face value, but there are actually some hidden reasons as to why the Mariners made this trade for Kolten Wong that we need to take a look at, because it may kind of change the way you view this player. Just the other day, the Mariners traded Jesse Winker and Abraham Toro for Kolten Wong and some cash. The deal's basically a wash in terms of salary, but obviously the Mariners losing out on Winker and losing Abraham Toro, it's a pretty interesting move from the Mariners standpoint. Obviously both were trades that Dipoto made, and he's kind of saying, okay, well, these trades didn't work out, let's trade for someone else. Throughout his career, Wong is a 261, 334, 398 hitter with an OPS plus throughout his career of 99. However, in Milwaukee for the last 2 years, he hit 272, 335, 447 with a 110 OPS plus in 2021, and 251, 339, 430 with a 118 OPS plus in 2022, both the highest parts of his career respectively. He hit more home runs, a career high, both of these years, 14 and 15. These are both career highs for him. He never hit even more than 12 when he was in St. Louis. Kolten Wong is the perfect control the zone kind of guy, as he has never struck out more than 100 times in a season, and last year walked 46 times, giving him a pretty good strikeout to walk ratio. If we were to go into Kolten Wong's baseball savant page, obviously there's not a lot to look at here. He doesn't hit the ball all that hard, although he did have some decent exit velocities. He's not very high in the hard hit percentage or any of the other numbers, although you can see here he controls the zone really well with his K percentage and his walk percentage, and his chase rate is one of the best in baseball. But one of the big things I want to talk about is his 2022 spray chart. As you can see, Kolten Wong pulls the ball quite a bit. All of his home runs were hit to right field, and most of his base hits came right in this little area here. So it's easy to assume that maybe the Mariners traded for him for this very reason. Obviously, the shift is going away in 2023. Baseball as a whole is going to see a lot of different kinds of batted ball data based on the shift going away. Obviously, players that pulled the ball a lot were hurt. Think about Kyle Seager. And they were hurt because there were so many players on the side of the infield that they hit the ball to the most. Per Fangraphs, throughout Wong's career, he had a 40.1% pull percentage, and then in 2022 alone, he had a 45.3, hitting the ball up the middle 29.2%, and the other way only 25.5. This 45.3 is the highest of his career. Kolten Wong is pulling the ball more than ever, and with the shift, that probably would hurt him a lot, but since the shift is going away, that's going to help him out a lot in terms of being able to pull the ball and actually see some success doing so. We look at some of his other career numbers. 2022 was his highest hard hit percentage at 35.2%, while his career average was just 30.6. In 2021, it was also 34.8%, so that is 2 years of seeing Kolten Wong's numbers go up in this regard. You could see he tied his career high in max exit velocity with 2017 at 109.7, and the past 2 years he's been over 107 miles per hour on his max exit velocity. His average exit velocity is at the highest point of his career, so needless to say, Kolten Wong is hitting the ball harder now than he ever has throughout his career. The nice part about Kolten Wong is you probably don't need to platoon with him all that often. While in 2022 he did only hit 138 versus lefties, throughout his career he's been much better, hitting 254 versus lefties and 263 versus righties. So while you could platoon him with Dylan Moore at second base, which isn't the worst idea in the world, of course Dylan Moore is better suited to play all around the baseball field than just at second base.
When we felt like we had a chance between the addition of Kolten, what we can get from Dylan Moore, using him all around the diamond, including second base, we felt like this was the move that made the most sense.
You can also see in the second half of 2022, Kolten Wong hit 281 compared to 227 in the first half. Now, it's easy to look at these numbers and say, okay, well, Kolten Wong figured something out, but he's been in the league for a while, so it's easy to also just look at this as a kind of slump in the first half. One interesting thing to note, however, is that you can see in 2022 against the shift, Kolten Wong hit 305, which is very surprising to me, whereas when you look at no shift, somehow he only hit 190, which is easily the lowest of his career. He's a 280 career hitter when there's no shift. However, in 2022, he was a 190 hitter with no shift. With that being said, however, he was only shifted in 39 games and 58 plate appearances, which is tied for the lowest of his career, along with 2020, when obviously it was a shortened season. So because of this, Kolten Wong was shifted basically every time he was up to bat. He was only not shifted in 58 plate appearances. And when he had 497 plate appearances, yeah, needless to say, he is being shifted on a lot. And throughout his career, Kolten Wong has been a pretty good defender. However, you can see in 2022, his fielding percentage dropped to a 963. Now, I know fielding percentage is not everyone's favorite stat, and I can't say that I blame you. Then when you look at his UZR, it was a negative 4.7. So Kolten Wong had more of an anomaly year in the field than ever before, as he, throughout his career, has accrued a 32.6 UZR, but in 2022, a negative 4.7. Pairing Kolten Wong with the Gold Glove maker himself, Perry Hill, is probably going to do wonders for his defensive prowess, and he's actually looking forward to not having to play in the shift anymore.
Defensively, I mean, I think he owned it at the end of the season. He didn't have the kind of year, particularly with his hands, that his own expectations are for himself. He brought it up to me on the phone that he's prepared to be much better defensively next year. He's always been an outstanding defender. We think the range is still plus. His arm is still well above average for the position. Obviously, we have a very good infield coach in Perry Hill as well, and we expect a plus defender at second base with someone who can be a real contributor offensively at a position that we've just struggled to get production from over the last couple of years.
Love it or hate it, Mariners fans, it looks like Kolten Wong is going to be our opening day second baseman for the Seattle Mariners, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with that, especially after seeing Trey Turner sign an 11-year, $300 million deal. I am so glad the Mariners did not come even close to touching that, as well as seeing other players like Justin Verlander sign for $43 million a year. What are the Mets thinking? With that being said, I do still think there are some things that the Mariners need to get done before the end of the offseason. I have a video about that on the screen right now. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.